A lot of us got to know that there was a situation brewing in Zimbabwe after we saw Blessed Geza on TV, on YouTube, on Facebook, and different social media talking about the fact that there is a section of ZANU-PF and a section of society that is against the 2030 mantra. However, a lot of us did not get to understand how did Blessed Geza get to transmit this message outside. So to get this message going, this was made through interviews that were done by Blessed Mhlanga, who interviewed Blessed Geza. So Blessed Mhlanga is a journalist, a very candid journalist within Zimbabwe, who works for Heart and Soul TV and Alpha Media Group. And Blessed has done a lot of very tough interviews in the past. He has done questioning of a lot of people in power in different forms or ways. So Blessed Geza came out through Blessed Mhlanga's interviews, and that's where he used the platform to actually communicate to a lot of us to get to know this is what is going on. And that's how a lot of us has found themselves sitting on the edges of their seats trying to understand what's going to happen next. This is because this is information that couldn't be found in the state media. Now, the journalist that conducted these interviews, Blessed Mhlanga, was called in for questioning by police. And as he handed himself over, he was then taken into custody. The charges, the major charge that is there for him when he was arrested is that he transmitted information that incited violence. Of course, the legal experts will explain that charge in a better legal sense. But what does this mean for an ordinary person who's just listening and hearing about this without so much insight about this guy, as well as about this situation? So Blessed Geza himself, the fellow comrade of our president and of ZANU-PF, he is not arrested, as far as we know. Based on the information that is available in the public, there is no confirmation of him being arrested. What is there is that he was being sought after for various charges by the police, and his wife was called in for questioning and was released. However, Blessed Mhlanga, I know there's a lot of blesseds here. It's just two blesseds. We will stick with the surnames to make sure that we follow. Mr. Mhlanga is a known journalist who provided a platform for Blessed Geza to say what he was going to say. However, Blessed Mhlanga does not own Alpha Media Group. He is just an employee of Alpha Media Group, of Newsday and Heart and Soul TV, where these messages were being broadcasted from. Now, Alpha Media Group has not been charged or penalized. Blessed Geza, who was speaking against the government of the day, has not been arrested, as far as we know. However, the journalist who does the interview is the one who has been arrested. Now, he went for bail hearing, and the bail has been denied. We hear that his case will be heard in about 2 weeks' time, in the month of March. Now, but who is Blessed Mhlanga? Because for a lot of us, even in some of the interviews with Blessed Geza, his face was not there. And for a lot of people, they have not followed his career. But this is a journalist who is known for candid interviews. He has given very difficult interviews to Nelson Chamisa, to Tendai Biti, to members of the government, to members of ZANU-PF. Recently, he was interviewing Walter Mzembe and interviewed Sevia Kasukwere. And one of the questions he gives to Walter Mzembe, because these fellow comrades of ZANU-PF who are trying to make use of this situation and try to say, let us find ways to find each other within ZANU-PF. He asks him very candid questions. And he says, you guys were there saying Robert Mugabe is still in control of the situation, knowing very well that he was now frail, knowing that he could no longer do what he was doing. He asked Sevia Kasukwere to say, why should people trust you now? He asked at some point Tendai Biti a question where he says Tendai Biti is talking about the economy, and he's talking in a view that is different to the view that has been expressed by the IMF. And he says to Tendai Biti, Tendai, why should people believe you and not believe the IMF? This is the kind of journalist we're dealing with. This is the journalist who asks the mayor of Harare, who is a member of the opposition, to say, Mr. Mafume, you are talking about all sorts of problems within Harare, but you are the mayor. MDC and the opposition has been leading Harare for such a long time, and you keep giving problems. Why have you not solved those problems? So, regardless of which side of the fence one lies with this discussion about Blessed Mhlanga being arrested, but we have to think about the fact that this is a journalist who is taking care of his family. In doing so, his job is to ask questions. His job is to present the different views and perspectives. That's the job of a journalist. He published a video recently where he speaks in one of the interviews and says, I fear for my family on a day-to-day basis, to say what will happen to them if I'm not there to provide for them. However, I am obliged to this profession. It's a cause that I'm prepared to continue pushing, which is to share information. He also even talks about during the 2017 coup, how through his platforms, the people in power now managed to transmit the information that they needed to reach the country. A lot of us know about those letters that were being read. A lot of knows about those press releases, but actually forget to say that that information couldn't be transmitted through state media. And Blessed Mhlanga is one of the top journalists who was vocal and helped in sharing that information to get it out there. So the fact that he is currently in custody, awaiting the hearing of his case, it is sad to see such an individual who is committed to the cause of his profession and who is committed to make sure that Zimbabweans know what is going on, regardless of whether you are part of the ruling party or part of the opposition. He has done interviews that the ruling party, if they take today, can use to shred the opposition into pieces. He does an interview of Promise Mkwanazi, and he takes him, he cleans the floor with him. But this is someone who was representing the Triple C. He does the same even with Nelson Chamisa. So, Blessed, I don't know him personally, but just knowing the works, by seeing part of the work that he has done, one can actually say that this is a guy who's committed to his profession and is committed to Zimbabweans knowing what is going on in their backyard. So it is an unfortunate situation that he's arrested. Of course, we need to get those who are legal experts who can explain exactly how this case works. But what he's accused of, he's not accused for inciting violence himself, but for transmitting information, for being the one who conducts an interview. So this gets one to ask themselves and says, so where exactly are we going? Because if such things happen, what does it mean? Okay, but Alpha Media Group as a business is still functional. There's no case against it. There's no case against, the known owner or a major shareholder. But the mere journalist who is asking the questions is the one that has been arrested. It's really something to think about. It's really something that as Zimbabweans we need to ponder and say, for real, what does this mean to any ordinary Zimbabwean, to a young Zimbabwean who says, I want to be a journalist when I grow up? Or to a young Zimbabwean who says, I want to be a political journalist. We do not know what else is going on in the background regarding this 2030 mantra and regarding the war veterans saying, President ED, it's time to go. But what we know, it seems from the outside, it's business as usual. We still see the VP Chiwenga attending events. We still see the president of the country doing the same. But is this really a calmness, or this is just what we are seeing on top of the water, but underneath there's a lot that is happening? Time will tell.